Today I'm checking out this 2018 Volvo V60 Polestar. Today I'm going to be taking you guys on a tour and review of this car to talk about all the cool quirks and features, and then I'm going to get it out on the road and drive it to talk about the driving experience. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into the review. To begin the review, we're going to first start with performance. Now, the car is powered by a 2-liter twin-charged inline 4-cylinder with 362 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 347 pound-feet of torque at 3,100 RPM. Now let's go ahead and start talking about dimensions. The car has a length of 182.5 inches, has a width of 73.4, has a height of 58.4 inches, has a wheelbase of 109.3 inches, has a ground clearance of 5.4 inches, and has a curb weight of 3,790 pounds. Now let's go ahead and move on to some weird, interesting quirks on the exterior of the car, starting with logos. Of course, you got the Volvo Polestar logo right in the center of the grille. It has the Volvo logo on the outside, the Polestar logo in the middle with the arrow that points toward the hood latch. And you also got the Polestar logo on the bottom right of the front grille. And that same logo is actually on the bottom right of the rear hatch lid as well. You also got the Volvo logo in the center of the rear hatch, and then of course you also have the V60 logo on the bottom left of the rear hatch. And then you also, one interesting one, you also have a Polestar logo on the exhaust tips as well. And that sums up all of the badging. Moving on to some cool styling details, this car has carbon fiber everywhere, including has a carbon fiber side skirt. This car also has a carbon fiber front splitter. This car also has carbon fiber side mirrors as well, and then it also has carbon fiber on this bar in the engine compartment. And that pretty much sums up all the carbon fiber. So that's pretty much everything cool on the outside. Now let's move on to the inside, which whenever you first open up the door and you look down, you will see this plaque. And it's such a cool plaque because it says engineered by Polestar, and it also has your serial number on it, to where you'll always know how special you are when you walk into your Volvo Polestar. Another thing you will notice is this SIPS. Now what this is actually a safety system. So now, since Volvo is so known for safety, what this safety system does is it actually folds down the rear seats from a rear end collision to make sure your back does not receive a lot of force. Good thinking from Volvo. Then we move on to the seats of this car, and they are absolutely fantastic. Thickly bolstered, covered in leather and Alcantara, with blue stitching with the Polestar logo right in the middle. They are just overall very comfortable seats, especially when driving, so very good seat quality. Here's another cool thing about this car. Take a look at this gear lever. You guys cannot tell me that this isn't the coolest gear lever on any car. It's clear up top with the Polestar logo at the bottom of it, to where you always know that you're driving something special, with the green light that lets you know what gear that you're in. And this car does also have a manual mode as well. It has paddle shifters on this very nice steering wheel, and the paddle shifter feel is incredible. Very stiff and very easy to push, and which makes for very quick shifting. And of course, to put it in full manual mode, which is also sport mode, you would shift this gear lever down to drive, then over to the left, and that puts the car in sport mode. That also opens up the exhaust valves and also puts the car in sport mode and completely allows for full manual use, to where you can use the paddle shifters. And that's pretty much how you use the sport mode inside of this car, and how the gear lever works, and also how to use launch control, which I will get to later on when I drive the car. Another thing y'all will notice is that this whole center control stack is covered in carbon fiber, which gives for a really cool sporty look in this car. Another really cool thing about this car is take a look at this gauge cluster. You guys cannot tell me that this is not the most futuristic gauge cluster put into any car. It just looks so good, especially whenever you're driving it. The rev needle looks so good revving it up. This car also has a power gauge on the far right of it. It lets you know how much power you're pushing at that specific time. Another really cool thing, you can actually adjust how this gauge cluster looks. As you can see, if I go into the theme setting, you can actually choose 3 different modes how the gauge cluster looks. You got performance, you also got eco, which looks more eco-ish. You also got elegance, go back down to eco again. As you can see, as I scroll through these, it actually completely changes how the gauge cluster looks. And it's really cool. Then of course you go back down into performance mode, and it makes it red, all nice and aggressive. And you do all these adjustments by pressing this OK button and using this scroll wheel on the left stock. But it's really cool. Moving on to the steering wheel controls on the left side, this button resets to cruise control. this button right here turns on cruise control, and of course the plus and minus buttons actually let you set the speed you want to travel, and the arrows on the right, they actually let you set the distance you want to travel from the car in front of you. Shorter arrow means closer distance, larger arrow means farther distance. Everything on the right side is all used for media and the cell phone. If you get inside of this car, you'll probably automatically know how to use all this. However, this dial in the center of them all, that actually adjusts the center screen. As you see, as I move this dial up and down, it actually adjusts the different settings in the center screen. Pretty cool. Moving on to the center control stack, this lever right here adjusts the volume, obviously for the stereo, and this lever right here, everything inside that lever adjusts the center screen. And this car does also have dual climate controls. As you can see, as I turn both of these levers, it actually adjusts the temperature for both the driver and passenger. There's one on both sides of the center control stack, and each one adjusts each side's temperature. And it's really cool to see inside of a car like this. Here's something else really cool. The buttons that you press to adjust where you want the air to come out, they are in the shape of a person. Whichever part of the person that you press, that's where the air comes out. You even see this in modern McLarens, but it's even cool to see this inside of a $50,000 Volvo, which is really cool. Now, most of the things that are in the center control stack, everybody's pretty much already familiar with, so I'm not going to go over every single thing inside of this center control stack. Another really cool thing about this car is where the cup holders are located. Pull back this tab, and they're inside of this cool looking hidden compartment. And inside of this hidden compartment is also a car charger for added practicality. And so, that's the 2018 Volvo V60 Polestar. But before I get it out on the road and drive it, there's something I want to quickly mention. Now, if this video seemed rushed, it's because it is. Because when I got home from this review, I realized that I forgot to film literally every single mandatory part in my review, including my intro and outro. So this ended up being the hardest review I have ever edited. So please make sure you guys go drop a like and share this video to help me get some views on this video, because it would really help me out from how long it took me to make this video. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get the Volvo V60 Polestar out on the road and see how it drives. Alrighty, here we go. About to drive the Volvo V60 Polestar. This is going to be pretty cool. So yeah, let's go and get this thing out on the road and try this thing out. So far, the driving experience is pretty good. I love how the steering is. It's it's not heavy at all. Very light steering. Also, the gauge cluster, just how the gauge cluster looks. It's so neat. It's so futuristic. Now, the previous two cars I've driven were the Porsche 911 and the MR2. The thing is, those are both stick shifts. This is I believe, the very first automatic car I've ever reviewed and actually driven on camera. And so far, I love how it shows the speed limit on the side screen up down there on the center screen. It looks so good. I'll put it in sport mode, not right now, but very shortly. I'm going to do a little bit of acceleration here, not a massive one. Wow, that was a quarter throttle. The speed it gets up to in quarter throttle is just so good. Now, I'm not going to go nowhere as fast as I took the Porsche. So with the sport mode, you have to only just use the paddle shifter, right?
No, you can just regular automatic.
Oh, that's cool.
You can do paddle shifters. Now, with sport mode and paddle shifters, you have to shift down. It won't shift down.
Oh, all right.
So if you leave it in sport mode, it'll shift. It'll take longer to shift. It'll keep the revs up really high.
All right. I did say these brakes are very responsive, which is good. I don't think they're quite as responsive as the Malibu I drove. The Malibu I drove, it was a 2018 Malibu. Those brakes were like literally the most responsive thing I've ever felt. Yeah. So, I'm going to go pop in sport mode, so let's go pull it up to the left. There.
So just put it to the left, and that's it. When you did that, you shift it down in the first gear. So if you leave it in sport mode, it's an automatic, so it'll just shift on its own. But if you start to shift, then it basically says you do it all. It's hands off. You have to do everything.
Wow.
So, but if you want to get it back in the right lane, you just push it back over and drive.
And you can do it while you're driving too.
Yeah.
Wow.
At any point. Yep. Like, as soon as you engage that, though, like I said, you have to take over control of all the shifting, because otherwise you have to put it back in drive to get it to reset,
yeah.
And you can put it back into sport mode and get it back into the automatic sport mode. That's probably the best way to explain it.
It automatically upshifts with sport mode, but you can also upshift with paddle shifters even though it does it by itself.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm not going to use launch control. I'll let you do that. We'll switch over to you at some point, then I'll let you use that.
All right.
Well, first I'll see how you use it, then I'll decide, but more than likely no. Could you say it's very, very complicated? I've never used launch control in a car yet, though, so I don't know how that's like. So what's the 0 to 60 of this, you think?
4.4 seconds.
Wow. Dang. Wow. Listen to that exhaust. Woo! I'm not even doing quarter throttle. You can hear that exhaust so pronounced. Oh, you can feel the turbo kick in. You can feel the turbo kick in. That feels good.
When you put it in automatic mode, you can actually hear it shift from supercharger to turbocharger.
Oh, really?
Turbocharger to supercharger. Yeah.
Yeah, I do hear it a little bit.
There it is.
Oh yeah, I heard it. The paddle shifter feels incredible. I'm using the shifters, and it feels tight. It feels like a sports car. It's so quick and easy. Because so far this car drives incredibly well. It's so smooth. Sport mode, you can hear the exhaust of the supercharger so well. I heard it more whenever I downshifted. Ooh, okay. That was about 75. That was about half throttle. And the fact that I'm driving one of 1500 right now, and nobody knows it, is like incredible. I mean, whenever most people see these on the road, be like, "Oh, it's just a Volvo." But
it's a sleeper.
It's a sleeper car.
It's a sleeper.
Yeah, it's just a Volvo.
Yeah, most people that really don't know what it is, they will come up to me like, "So, is there something special about this car?" I'm like, "Yeah, a little bit." Some people just like they had no idea. Like I go to car meets, I'm like, "Okay, this looks like it's something special. What is this?" Besides a Volvo, and what is Polestar? You don't know. In some dealerships, they never got them. So only certain dealerships can even sell these cars.
Oh, really?
So sometimes when I go get the car serviced, all the techs come out, all the salespeople come out, and they're like, "We've never seen one before in real life. We're a Volvo dealer."
Well, that's great. That's even crazier. The fact that even a Volvo dealer hasn't seen one yet.
There's only so many sold, so
Like we've got a G35 right here, and like he doesn't even realize how special the car really is. It's just so quiet too. Like whenever you're just cruising around, it is so quiet.
That's very quiet.
I can't tell if I'm in a Rolls Royce or a Volvo. All right, I'm gonna downshift. That wasn't even full stab either. That was about 75%. This car is crazy fast. I don't know. I may punch it. No, I think I will. If that's fine with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, here we go. Let me drop it down to third. All right, 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness! I would have never expected that from a Volvo. Oh my goodness! That's SS Camaro speed right there. So that's about, I'm gonna say, that's just under how the Porsche felt. Really? Just under. So now, at some point, I'm gonna switch it over to you, and I'm gonna let you try launch control.
All right. Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you try launch control first. Then I'll see how it feels and see if I can possibly handle it. And I'll let you try it. I don't know. Okay, let's try launch control. Holy cow! Oh, okay. I'm excited now. This is gonna be my very first ever time using launch control in any car. Alrighty, here we go, y'all. My first time ever using launch control in a car. Alright, foot on the brake and foot accelerator.
Yep.
Holy crap! Yes! Woo! That's actually a good thrill of acceleration.
Yeah, you can feel it when the supercharger kicks in. 'Cause you can actually, even not in launch control, but when you floor it, you can actually hear it shift from the exhaust note will just have a little blurp, and that blurp is the transition from the turbo to the supercharger.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Just like I said in the Porsche video, this is a car that I don't want to get out of, but I have to. This is crazy because this is rare than. This is about as rare. I'm gonna say, actually, this is rarer than a Lamborghini Aventador SVJ. And they built 1,700. Yeah, they built 1,700 SVJs. So there's 1,500 of these. These things are rarer than an SVJ, and literally nobody realizes it.
Yeah. Nobody knows. It's crazy.
Yeah.
When I bought this car, I had to go to DC to get it because it was, I bought it used. But my wife was like, why are you going to go to DC to get this car? Like, can't you just go to the whole deal? I'm like, oh, no. Now, the competition, this car was Volvo's answer to Mercedes, the E63 wagon. If you can get your hands on one of those bad boys or an Avant RS6.
Oh, the RS6 Avant.
My neighbor actually had one, and I was trying to get him to let me drive it, and he sold it for $74. He only kept it for like a month.
Oh, really?
But I think he was just trying to flip it.
Yeah.
But the E63 is supposed to be just like insanity to the car.
Oh yeah, I can
700 horsepower or something like that.
I'm not gonna go as crazy as I normally do with my car because this is not my car. So I want to be a little bit easier with yours.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And just looking at that car in the reflection, it doesn't really look like anything much different on the road. If you look at it from the outside, it really does just look like a Volvo.
Yeah, it's the color, the little subtle nuances that make it really what it is.
Yeah.
The color is really the standout, right? Because when I bought this car, I had a chance to buy a black one.
Oh.
And my wife was like, the black one just seems too boring.
Never mind, there's a car that never. Dang it! I want to do it again, but I can't. I don't want some crazy Karen to call the cop on me. All right, there's no cars coming. Make sure there's no cop either. Right here. I'll do it quick. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. As fast as I'm gonna go. Again, I just love the steering of this car.
And so, that's the Volvo V60 Polestar. But before I go, I want to go ahead and give a huge thank you to the owner, Ed Frazier, for letting me check out his beautiful car. And he's on Instagram as Polestar V60. And I mean, you guys should go follow him because, I mean, the man's got a Volvo V60 Polestar. So you guys know he's got some interesting stuff going on. But anyway guys, if you guys did enjoy, please make sure you guys go hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and also go ahead and go drop a like on this video to support me in the channel. Also guys, go subscribe to all my other YouTube channels, which are all linked in the description box down below, as well as all my social medias. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching today's video. Peace out.